Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us at today's webinar, Top Occupations in Tech. This is a webinar produced by Career Loans, and we are very excited to have everyone here today. We've got a great show. Before we begin, I want to give a land acknowledgement. Achēv acknowledges that the land on which we live, work, and gather, even virtually, is part of the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. The land on which the region of Peel and the regional municipality of Halton operates is rich in history and modern traditions of many First Nations and Métis people. We're grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land, and by doing so, give our respect to its first inhabitants. We're dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. Now, anytime during today's webinar, if you do want to just say hi, there is a chat feature. You're more than welcome to talk with everyone here. We also have a Q&A feature. At the end of today's webinar, we'll answer everyone's questions or try to get to everyone's questions in the Q&A session. So whenever you have a question, just type it into the Q&A section and we will store it for the end of the webinar. We also have a quick survey. Now, you don't need to write down this URL and scramble and everything. I will send a follow-up email with this information so that you can fill out a survey. Super short, takes less than a minute, and it really helps us in producing content such as this. And we really want to help you guys put out more informative stuff. So please, if you have a moment, do fill out the survey after the webinar. Now, who is here today? So myself, hi everyone, my name is Gavin. I am the content developer at Career Loans. We're joined with two guest speakers today. First is Aaron Janae, the president of SAS Tech, and also Alyssa Deal, workforce development manager in Manpower, Alberta. I'm also joined with my colleague Venus Chaffee, who is information and financial counselor with the Career Loans program. But before we get to any of the guest introductions, we just want to show a quick video about the Career Loans program. What is Career Loans and how are we helping newcomers, skilled newcomers in Alberta and Saskatchewan return to their desired career? Take a look at this short video.
I'm Rianne Mendoza and I came to Canada from the Philippines last year in November.
Hello, my name is Ifoma. I came to Canada June 2019.
My desired occupation in Canada is a privacy lawyer.
And my desire is to work as a medical doctor in Canada. The major challenge that I was facing was financial.
I don't have the sufficient resources in order for me to enroll.
I used part of the money that I got from Career Loans to register for the first part of the exam.
I was able to enroll in the training programs to becoming a privacy professional.
To buy a mini laptop that I would use to prepare for the exams.
To purchase all the required texts.
Ever since I applied to Career Loans, I can say that my career outlook is definitely brighter.
I will also be getting my certification for Asia.
Because I've gotten the assistance that I needed. I've been able to register for the exams.
I am now more prepared to become a privacy professional in Canada.
Things are looking brighter. Yeah, I just feel like, I'm getting closer to my goal.
And thanks to career loans, I am now more confident and in my way towards my journey of becoming a privacy professional here in Canada.
As for today's schedule, first I'll be introducing our guest speakers. Erin Janae will be speaking first. Afterwards, Alyssa Dio will have her presentation as well. And then number 4 on our agenda, Venus will be talking about the benefits and how we can help newcomers in Alberta and Saskatchewan with their career goals. And that will sort of expand on the video we just saw. Afterwards, number 5, that's when we'll have the Q&A session. So anytime during today's webinar, if you do have a question, leave it in the Q&A box and we will get to them at the 5th agenda point. And then afterwards, we will conclude the webinar, today's webinar. Now, we want to move forward with our presentations. We've got great presentations today. So I'd like to invite our first speaker, Erin, to please turn on your camera and join us.
Hi there.
Hi, Erin. Thanks for joining us. We've got a quick bio to introduce you. So allow me to present Erin Janae, the president of SaskTech. So Erin Janae serves as the Siemens appointee to SaskTech, providing him with the distinction of being the president of Saskatchewan's Technology Advisory Organization. In a previous life, he spent 10 years as a professional a cappella singer. He's also the father of 3 boys and husband to Dr. Emily Jenkins, parasitologist extraordinaire. For more information, Erin's details are easily accessible on a Google search or follow him on Twitter at Erin Janae or on LinkedIn. Thank you very much for joining us today, Erin.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So I'll give you the spotlight and you can take it away whenever you're ready.
Sure. So thank you very much for having me. I hope I can help shine a little bit of light on what's happening here in Saskatchewan, what the labor market looks like, what we're looking for in skills, and what the opportunities are for you. It's a bit of an informal presentation, so forgive me for screenshots, which is actually what I'm doing. So there are a couple of key ways to get jobs in Saskatchewan and to get a survey of what the jobs look like that are maybe not what you'd expect. I mean, the first one is what you'd expect. On the right-hand side, here's a quick screenshot of the Google a Google search for jobs in technology in Saskatchewan. But on the left side, the Saskatchewan government runs a website called Sask Jobs. And that's linked to the National Job Bank. And so you can either search for jobs through that Sask Jobs website, which if you just Google Sask Jobs, will take you right there. Or you can go to the National Job Bank, and there's a link off the Sask Jobs site, or you could search for the Government of Canada Job Bank, and then sign up within that. And then you will, and the account is free and it's relatively easy to do. And then you'll be able to find out information about jobs posted across the country. And it's got a pretty good search mechanism for getting in there. And the reason I'm not actually highlighting specific companies is that in Saskatchewan, we're at a bit of a cusp in terms of what we're looking for in jobs. The economy here has been driven primarily by energy, agriculture, and mining over the last 100 years, I guess, with each one of those waxing and waning, depending on how important it was in the world economy at the time. All of those sectors at varying rates are becoming digitized. And so the most prominent one you'll see in the news all the time in Saskatchewan now is the ag tech sector. There's an enormous amount of effort and money, billions of dollars, in fact, being injected into the Saskatchewan economy over the next decade, driving innovation in the agricultural sector. And so this has a trickle-down effect to machinery operators, data analysts, IT, cybersecurity, really big issue, robotics, and all kinds of engineering, associated engineering, mechanical, computer, and electrical, and even engineering physics. as well as if you are trained in a field related to agriculture and then cross-trained somewhat in technology, learning basic programming skills or data analytics skills, you become incredibly valuable. At a slightly slower pace, but driven by a small oligarchy of companies in the province is mining, and that sector is booming as well. And so you can go and find a lot of information. A lot of information about that by going specifically to the companies. So BHP Billiton's building a new mine, for instance. There's Nutrien has a $5 billion 5-year plan to transition its to digital or a digitization plan for mining. And the whole sector then, machinery all the way up, is being affected by that. So once again, if you have industrial IoT experience, security or cybersecurity experience, you understand something about the mining industry or machinery related to the mining industry, it's enormously valuable. And that's also going to cut into the financials and into the HR. So there's a huge retraining process. And so if you have training in HR and understand how to address this, these are the kinds of jobs that will be resulting from the shift to digitization. And the final one is energy. That's happening a little less quickly, but the big shift here is going to be towards nuclear. And so our Crown Corporation, our sole, or one of three, but by far the largest power provider in the province, is going to be building utility scale nuclear for 2035. And so getting in front of that and all the work that's happening there provides some opportunities for understanding what the energy sector is going to look like in the province in the coming years. And then we have a fourth pillar, and that is the pure play software stuff. And so if you go down this list here that I just captured this morning, you'll see that there's Vendasta, Learn for Good, Adzuno, Calian, which is a satellite company. Vendasta is a white label software company. Most of these are actually tech companies in Saskatchewan that have grown up here and are scaling rapidly. Vendasta, I think, is hiring somewhere around 300 people this year in technology and sales. So that's where the jobs are right now, and how you initially get them. But the best way to get them is actually to go to the kinds of events that are run. And I just went to a Slack channel called Saskatoon Developers or Saskatoon Software Developers. And there are a bunch of communities kind of related to related to the tech companies in the province that run events. And so if you have the opportunity, these are starting to, some of them are still very virtual. So the Pi O'Clock one that's run, actually, this is Siemens, this is my company running it right now. This one is open. You just register, it's no cost, and it's virtual right now. So you can attend and kind of get to know the community, and there's breakouts where you can introduce yourself to people who are working in the field already. There's larger events such as Uniting the Prairies, which will happen this spring. Ideas on Tap that Vendasta runs, and I think those have been mostly virtual, but they're starting to move into real space again. And you can see there's a whole host of different things run by different organizations. Collabs and Cultivator are two incubators here in the province if you have an entrepreneurial bent that can help you get off the ground. And so my advice is, I think that probably still 50 to 60% of the hires across the industry are still occurring through personal connections in terms of referrals. So get to know the people involved in the industry. And that's easily the fastest and most sure way into a job in the sector. And the community is still small enough that it's very easy to access. You'll get to know the key people very, very quickly, and it'll become easier to understand what the topography of the province looks like. The jobs are growing. These are old results up here from data that we gathered a couple of years ago as part of a federal government funded study. But what we're looking at is, on a baseline of kind of 20,000 people employed in the province in tech-related issues kind of a 3% overall growth year over year. And the expected, like it's expected to outpace almost every other job sector in the province. So now, obviously, COVID has put paid to any of these forecasts, but on the other hand, it's also accelerated the adoption of digitization and remote processes, so that it's far more likely now that we know we're in demand here. My company hired 45 people last year in technology. And a very quick search of the Sask Jobs website today in this category, the engineers, architects, IT, and natural sciences. So a little bit larger than just technology, but there were almost 400 jobs available registered at on the government website as of that day. And so that's just a sampling of them. There's obviously more available. This is an area of significant growth for the province. Income expectations. So we don't pay as much as Alberta. So I'm sure that Alicia will emphasize that if you want to earn a really good living, you stay in Alberta. Of course, it costs more to live there, and you have to drive longer or take the bus longer to get to your workplace. So I guess it's 6 of one, half dozen the other. The average employment income, keep in mind, this is an average, not an entrance level, for somebody in the tech sector. So this is tech employee in the tech sector is about $76,000 in 2018. And that compares aggressively across the province. It's slightly above the national average, in fact, which is encouraging. That's largely because there are a lot of low-paid tech jobs in the large centers that are considered entrance. The really important statistic, I think, is kind of what portion of that do you take home, and quite a bit of it. Now, obviously, in Alberta, see these $25,000 extra don't actually translate into 25% greater take home, or 15% greater take home. It's just a few percent. So proportionately, this money is taking you farther in Saskatchewan than it doesn't in other provinces. And our entrance, I don't know if I have it here or not. I don't. If you go to Glassdoor and have a look, or some of the other places, you'll see that salary expectations in the province for an entrance level software developer, which is hugely in demand, is going to be somewhere between $55,000 and $65,000 a year in your first year. And it pretty quickly ramps after that. Somebody with 5 years experience is doing far better. How do you get those skills? So I just suggested that there are a variety of ways in which you can take existing skills in agriculture, in engineering, in energy, in mining, in human resources, and whatever other field you might be interested in. Sales and marketing would be another really, really big one. And if you are looking to try and get a job in there, the fastest way, of course, is to already have a post-secondary degree. If you hold a university degree or college degree, you're going to be well situated to be able to get into the workforce. But then you might need to finish that off with some specific skills that are related to the technology du jour in the companies that you'd be applying to, or that would allow you to leverage your domain experience and turn it into a job in one of these emerging digital sectors. The good news is that the post-secondary institutions here see that already happening. There's a strategic relationship between Lighthouse Labs, based out of Vancouver, and the government of Saskatchewan. And so there is micro training offered in coding through that. For people with zero coding background who want to get into it or want to understand a little bit of it. And if you're an immigrant, there's an option called ComIT. And that's across Western Canada, at least, maybe nationally, not-for-profit that will train people in various coding. And it's very job-oriented. So in fact, their training you for particular skills that will get you in the door at a particular company at a particular time. So it's very worthwhile in having a look at that. But also Saskatchewan Polytechnic has this new program called Surge. It's a micro-credentialing option. And if you should, kind of poke at that website and have a look at what they offer, they are very good at linking particular skill sets to jobs. That's their whole raison d'etre, their reason for existence. And so this is a brand new program that came out just last month. And I'm of the opinion that it's got huge potential for being able to just give you that particular edge on skills, and in an affordable and highly targeted way. If you're going for a more aggressive kind of, like a 3 or 4 year degree, there's a new applied computing program at the University of Saskatchewan that covers off initially these 5 areas. There are going to be 2 more added in the future, and a graduate program. And it's applied computing in these areas. So you might go into geomatics or business with an applied computing degree, and it would actually connect computational science and best practices with business. And the result of that, of course, is that you end up with this fantastic opportunity to be able to learn in a way that's going to get you a job almost instantly. I can't imagine that a graduate of this program is going to remain unemployed for longer than a month, frankly. So these are the current existing programs. The University of Regina is coming out with some shortly, so kind of keep your eyes on that. That's all I have here to be able to share with you directly. I will tell you just a couple of quick things. First of all, my organization doesn't help specifically with this. Saskatoon and Regina Open Door Society do. And so if you reach out to those organizations, they can help you navigate a lot of this, including finding a way for you to be able to get the necessary coursework. They also have some free resources available that do match with employers. And opportunities as exist, and employers like my company do come and work with them to try and find out who's around in the province and available for work. So, yeah, you can reach out to me individually if you need to review any of that stuff. I'd be happy to help. But otherwise, unfortunately, my organization is designed for employers because we want labor. So we actually do want you, and we want you to have the skills necessary to be able to join us. Thanks a lot, Gavin.
Thank you very much, Aaron. If you have any questions for Aaron, do type them in the Q&A, and we will get to them at the end of the webinar. Thank you so much, Aaron. I will see you in a bit. Up next, I'd like to invite Alyssa to please turn on your screen. Hi, Alyssa, how's it going?
Good, Gavin. Thanks for having me, and great presentation, Aaron.
Thank you for joining us today. Quick bio to introduce Alyssa before we begin. So Alyssa Deal is the Workforce Development Manager of Manpower Alberta. She's been working in the field of recruitment, human resources, and career development for over 8 years in Alberta. She is most knowledgeable in the fields of nonprofit, IT, telecommunications, construction, trades, and retail. Her passion lies in assisting job seekers find their future career path, and loves to chat with job seekers in any field and experience level. Alyssa is always available to give help with market insights, resume review, or LinkedIn tips. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks, Gavin. Okay, I prepared a little bit of presentation to talk about the tech industry here in Alberta. So I'm just going to share my screen and we'll get going.
Awesome. Take it away.
Okay, so what is the latest news in Alberta? What's happening in the local market here in tech, mainly in Edmonton and Calgary, but there is definitely some little hub bubbles going on just outside of the cities as well. So where does Alberta's two cities rank within the Canadian tech ecosystem? This was taken from the CRBR scoring Canadian tech talent information. You can check out their website. The company is a real estate firm that assesses what companies are doing and what companies are taking real estate in specific cities. So out of all of North America, these are where the Canadian ones rank. So I think that we have an amazing representation like for Canada across North America. I know places like Toronto, Ottawa, and Vancouver are challenging the likes of San Francisco and Boston for some of those top spots. Really exciting, and exciting to see Calgary and Edmonton actually climbing up the next few years. I started keeping my eyes on this ecosystem ranking in 2018, and just the changes that have happened since then is really exciting, really fun to see. Even Winnipeg's making the map, and I'm sure Regina and Saskatoon will start climbing as well as they gain more tech companies, and those seeing the post-secondaries also want to contribute to the growth of the tech ecosystem is so important, and what brings like a healthy tech industry to a city. Okay, so what industries are big in Alberta? The main ones you will see when you come to Alberta, and sorry, that's a bit of a blotchy photo of the Edmonton, or I guess Alberta legislative building. Medical, manufacturing, oil and gas is still a big one. I know Alberta's trying to diversify, but I don't think we'll ever quite get away from it anytime soon. Agricultural, forestry, and then the private sector. Those government jobs are pretty big here, especially in Edmonton. Now, with all of these, the good thing is tech can be seen in all industries, and that's the beauty about tech, right? A lot of these different industries, a lot of these companies, they are wanting to innovate and say add fintech or cybersecurity or clean technology into their already the industry that they're representing. So there's so much opportunity for you if you're interested in tech. You don't necessarily have to say, oh, I want to work for a tech company. It could be a medical company that's really focusing on technology. So that's the fun thing about tech. Hot jobs and skills. So I spoke to recruiters. I looked at some articles. I looked at a lot of different job boards, which I'll share some of those with you in a second. Just seeing some of the job titles that are on the rise when you're looking at tech jobs, it's really fun to see that some of these jobs didn't even exist. Say like a content consultant that didn't even exist like 2-3 years ago. And now every single company is looking for digital marketer, content consultant or creator. Kevin, I saw that's your role, your content creator, and a lot of companies are looking for that now, right? Because everything is digital. A lot of people are remote. How do you get a hold of people? Well, it's going to be through online content. And then some of the skills on the rise too. The good thing is about tech, there's just so many jobs available that you don't necessarily have to be a developer to get some of these roles, right? A lot of these people still need, or companies need, the managers and the leads and the consultants that just need to have some sort of basic understanding of some of these skills. They don't have to be an expert. So even if you want to update your skills just so you have a very superficial understanding, it's still going to help you in the long run by getting into this and having to maybe work with people that are the experts. You'll still have an understanding. So I really want to, I really say that to a lot of our job seekers that might not necessarily be, wanting to be, a software engineer, but still having that knowledge is going to really help. Okay, so does anyone know what the #1 soft skill was on LinkedIn in 2020? And really, this is carrying on to 2021 because of the pandemic. And a soft skill is very different from all these technical skills that I have on this page. A soft skill is more what makes you, right? Like I put some examples like time management and creative thinking. Those are soft skills. Does anyone know what the #1 was? That was found on job postings in LinkedIn across the board of every position, every industry, every company. You can put it in the chat if you'd like to take a guess of what the #1 skill was. And a lot of these soft skills are so important, right? Like communication and teamwork and being punctual. Those are very important soft skills. But the #1 that was posted was adaptability. So adaptability is just the flexibility, right, that we needed to get through this whole pandemic. Employers are looking for that. They were and they still are looking for someone that's adaptable. So it really doesn't matter where you're at in your job search. If you're just going back to school now or taking some upgrading courses, maybe you're doing a survival job and doing some side studies, or you're already, ready to pursue the career that you would like to have, they're looking for someone that's flexible and adaptable. Okay, so top companies to follow in Edmonton and top companies to follow in Calgary. I just took snippets of, companies that are always like, maybe making the news or are always hiring, seem to be growing. Maybe they're receiving more funding and investments recently. I know Neo Financial, they're a fintech company that's huge and booming and hiring hundreds in Calgary right now. I would please urge you all to take, you could even take a picture with your phone of this page. So lots of companies growing here in the province. Something to add with Neo Financial, they're hiring a lot of entry level and they're hiring kind of a lower wage, like in the 40s, but there's opportunities to grow and advance. So it's kind of like getting your foot in the door to grow now. And that's kind of sometimes what happens with some of these newer companies is they might not be able to pay you, the big bucks right up front, right away, but there are ways to either, get your experience there and move on, or grow with that company and see where it takes you. So that's another kind of thing I wanted to bring up, and I'll do it in the next slide, but not discounting the smaller companies, those smaller startups, because that's where every company starts, right? Every company starts as a startup. They might have been Apple in a garage, right? Or someone's basement, Facebook, and now look where they are. So a lot of people, they tell me, a lot of job seekers like, no, I want to work for a big company that's been here for a long time, that's well established. And if that's your goal, that's okay. But sometimes you might be losing out on opportunities from some of these smaller companies that are just getting out. You do get to I think diversify your job as well when you work with a smaller company, because you get to wear many hats, where some of the larger companies, you'll probably just wear one hat. It's exciting for some and then just not of interest for others. So really assess what you want to do for your future as well, what company you'd be most interested in. Okay, so I want to share a success story. Mover, a small startup that was Edmonton based, Microsoft bought them out. So that company is doing very well now because they received millions. So again, you just never know by partnering and being employed with a small tech startup, you don't know where it could lead you in the future. So yeah, just wanted to share that there's so many amazing success stories coming out of Alberta and Saskatchewan too, that are raising funds and growing. Different way where places in Alberta to take training. I know that Aaron mentioned Lighthouse Labs and ComIT. They are great. We work with them. They are amazing. And then I like the whole micro credentialing as well, a great way to really pinpoint and have more of a cheaper and quicker way to be training with those micro credentials, not having to go back to school for a full out degree, but just updating your skills with smaller credentials. And that's where SAIT and NATE, they're really moving forward towards those micro credentials too. Check out Retrain. And then I have to plug my company, of course, Manpower Alberta. We are a staffing agency, but we also have courses and programs as well. So please check us out because we are big in Edmonton and Calgary. Okay, Alberta's innovation ecosystem. I did want to just share a few places to check out, to, you know, network, look for work, talk to people, lots of events. Please take a picture of this screen. Tech West Collective. There are a lot of companies in Alberta that are part of that because they hire so much. Yeah, just different ecosystem contributors in Alberta right now that are trying to grow the tech and innovation industry here that you'll want to keep an eye out. Please follow them on LinkedIn as well. Additional resources for your job search. This is just a few job boards that please keep your eyes out on. They are free for job seekers. Most companies, they do have to pay a price to post, but if you're a job seeker, you can keep your eyes on all of these job boards. And then I wanted to throw the Dev Edmonton Society in. They are a society for developers, not just in Edmonton. They are welcome for those that are outside of Edmonton too. I have met people that are even outside of the province and in the country that have joined just because they're interested to know what the developer scene is in Edmonton. They do have a Slack channel and they do post jobs and events as well. So please take a look out on that one. Last but not least, the job advice that I'd like to give you all, no matter where you are at your job search, no matter how long you've been in Canada for, just the tips and tricks that I give to every job seeker. Networking is so important. And the good thing is, you know, during COVID and no matter where you are, there are so many online events to attend. Please utilize LinkedIn, keep it up to date, keep it clean. Recruiters will message you if they like what they see. So be active on LinkedIn, make connections with those recruiters, request coffee meetings with those that you meet in your industry. Have those either in person or virtual meetings. Keep your training up to date and please take breaks when you need. I know that job searching can be very overwhelming. Okay, and connect with me on LinkedIn too. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Alyssa. Fantastic presentation. Again, if anyone has any questions for Aaron or Alyssa, do type them into the Q&A box. We will be happy to answer all of your questions. I know I got a few good questions lined up, so I'm hoping that, you know, if the audience, you have anything, type them in right now. Thank you, Alyssa. We'll check back on you in a few minutes, but first I'd like to invite Venus to come on to the camera to turn on your screen.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Venus. Thanks for joining us today. Venus will be talking very briefly about the Career Loans Program and how we can help newcomers in Alberta and Saskatchewan with their career goals. We played a video at the beginning, but Venus is going to expand on what we do and how we help. So please take it away.
Thanks, Gavin. Sure, I'm just going to share my screen. Great.
Yep, looks good.
Okay, so career loans actually funded by Government of Canada. The mother nonprofit organization is Achēv, and our financial institution partner is HSBC Bank. About Career Loans is fully virtual service for internationally trained individuals in Alberta and Saskatchewan. We provide free career support services and assistance with a microloan application, and also providing guidance to for those who wanted to get back to their career in terms of regulatory bodies. The program features, of course, it's a free service, and we offer a low interest microloan up to $15,000. We provide referral to employment services, guide to the accreditation process, as well as advice for alternative careers in case you are interested. Who's eligible for career loans? Internationally trained individuals in regulated or non-regulated occupations and trades, who are residents of Alberta and Saskatchewan, who are permanent residents, Canadian citizens, or convention refugees with a minimum Canadian language benchmark level of 5. So if you become a member, there's a few benefits. You have access to the counselors. We offer a personalized one-on-one session in which we actually discuss the career path and options with you, and we create a personalized action plan, and all of these done virtually, either through phone or video conferencing. So other benefits include live webinars such as this one, as well as accessing the recorded webinars, and also accessing the guest speakers on relevant topics, and access to our event calendar of your province. So this is an infographic that actually explain the process of the program. So once you locate your dream job or the training program, you will register for our consultation online, and then we get back to you and we go through that one-on-one session with you. Should you need access to funding and you wanted to apply for a loan, we then can meet again virtually, of course, to basically prepare a file for you and facilitate that process of accessing the loan. However, the loan process, the loan, like the microloan component of the program, is not mandatory. So it means that once you approach us and you want it, and we do the career counseling, you are not obligated to take out a loan. So how we help is by the virtual counseling session, determining career path and next steps, and making referrals, as well as facilitating the microloan application should you need it. So about the loan features, it's provided by HSBC Bank. The maximum amount is $15,000 with the interest rate of HSBC Prime +2. At the moment, it's sitting at 4.45%. The loan repayment is up to 4 years. And throughout the approval process, and even beyond that, you get support from us. We are going to be with you throughout the process of approval through the end, as well as beyond. So we'll check with you to see if any more support needed. The eligible expenses, it can be anything from credential assessment, accreditation, training, study materials, career-related fees like exams, licensure, membership, and association and union fees. And if you're not sure about an expense, you can always approach us. We will be happy to talk to you. The program is completely free and virtual. And you can sign up today. Check our website at www.careerloans.ca and get in touch. This is my contact information. I'll be more than happy to see what are your career needs and how best I can support you. I'm done for the presentation. I'm gonna stop sharing now.
Thank you, Venus. So if we have anyone in the audience who thinks, you need that extra career support, we are always here. Career Loans is here to help out. We do have a Q&A session. So if there's any questions that anyone wants to talk about, I know I have a few questions. We can jump right into that. So if I may, I want to invite our guest speakers, Aaron and Alyssa, to please come back on screen. So like I said, anytime if you do have a question, type them in the Q&A. If not, you are free to reach out to our guest speakers. And we did have a question asking for contact information. I will be sharing everyone, Alyssa and Aaron's emails, so you can contact them directly after this webinar. I will also be sending out a recording of this webinar, so you can rewind it. I know Alyssa was talking about taking pictures, so the recording will be there. I want to jump into some questions. So that I have. So I know both of you, Alyssa and Aaron, you mentioned the micro credentials as a way of quickly getting into a field. So just for some newcomers who might be interested in getting into a tech job quickly, what, off the top of your head, what areas of tech do you think has the shortest, or I guess, I don't want to use the word easiest, but the easiest entry? If you could just touch on that briefly. Aaron, if you'd like to go first.
Sure, I can take a stab at it. I would say that there are ones that are harder, that have longer roads, rather than there being ones that are short. The first thing I would say is not to mix up micro credentials or micro credentials and certifications. Certifications are very different, and the vast majority of the tech industry, as it's now currently conceived, doesn't care about certifications. So you don't need a certification in Microsoft Visual Basic, or in in Java from some online training program, or Python, to be able to take a job. That's not there. The exception is going to be in specifically IT and network, and in cybersecurity. Those are the two primary fields of technology where certifications still hold. And so the way into those is actually to accumulate certifications, and you do the micro-credentialing to get the basis to be able to challenge the certification tests. And that's the fastest way into those programs, short of actually doing a full degree in one of them. For the rest of them, those are actually fairly high bars for entry, as it turns out. However, network credentialing is actually often can be done in a year, or sometimes 2 years. PowerShell is now the primary way that a lot of network activity is done, as opposed to some of the previous methods. That's more accessible, especially if you have a programming background. So I'd go for that. Where the micro credentialing is really powerful is to skill up into one of the jobs that's adjacent to technology. And so if you are used to doing HR in an accountant office, or a lawyer's office, or a dentist's office, and you're interested in expanding the possibilities of that, then you go and you do micro-credentialing in some kind of programming or data management, or constraint-based programming languages, things like that, that allow you to manage big data. And then you apply for those jobs, and you've got, it's like just leveling up in your ability to be able to enter into those. And basically anything related to data management in one way or another is instantly going to make you far more accessible. And I'll let Alyssa go on from there. I'm sure she has lots of ideas.
Sure, thanks, Aaron. And yeah, I agree with what you just said. Yeah, not necessarily easier, but I like the term leveling up, and just updating your skills, or keeping yourself relevant, or making those small moves from one industry to another. I've met a lot of people now that are interested in software development and are interested in, say, digital marketing. A lot of them, if they've taken some courses and done some self-study, if they have the right attitude and they are more like a culture fit, they don't necessarily have to have all of like the post-secondary and credentials to be a good fit. It sometimes is a lot of, it's not what you know, it's who you know. still. So yeah, like if you don't have the exact education, you better have the right attitude and be a go-getter and network. And if you're not that type of person, then go back to school, I guess.
Speaking of networking, and that's a good transition, I was going to ask, do you have any networking tips for which might be helpful for our newcomer audience today, or any sort of networking advice to help break into the tech sector? And Alyssa, I'll start with you this time.
Sure. Check out those Slack channels that, Aaron had posted, and like in Alberta, there's a lot of them too, like the Dev Edmonton Society. You don't necessarily have to be a developer in Edmonton just to break in and ask, people questions, look at the events that are going on. What I would suggest to do if you go to an event that you're interested in, walk away with two email addresses from someone that's in that event that you can pick their brain after at another time. Ask them questions, ask them for even a virtual meeting, just to get to know them a little bit better and what their career path was. Because that's something that I like to do, especially when I was job seeking. When I moved from actually Manitoba to Alberta, I would look at where people were that had the job I wanted and what was their career path. What courses did they take? What credentials, and what were some of those entry points in to get to where they were? Because it, gave me, I guess, kind of a path that I wanted to follow because I saw what they had done. So that would be my suggestion.
Awesome. Aaron, anything to add?
I would say don't try to walk out of those events with a job offer. Don't put yourself out there. That's not really why people are going to those events most of the time. I mean, there are job events, and that's absolutely fine. But at most of them, the idea is just to gradually get to know where the areas of expertise are, where the interests are, where the cultural fits, and I'm not talking about ethnic culture. I'm talking about the mindset that you have in your approach to work, in approach to technology, in approach to whatever else, and cultivate or be honest about your interests outside of pure technology. That's actually where those social connections are primarily going to be made, in my opinion. We have musicians who kind of connect together, people who play video games who connect together, people with like reading, or people who are like humanitarian causes. And those tend to be opportunities for them to connect socially. And I am, connected with the community that I work with on 5 or 6 different levels in different ways, and it's all knitted together, which makes my job security far better, because if I lose this one, I can probably reach out effectively and go to a different place. And it's starting to kind of knit together those connections across multiple levels that aren't purely professional, that results in a successful placement. Because then remember, it's not just about getting a job. There are actually a fair number of jobs out there. It's about getting one that you actually want to go to work at. And that's if you have that, you will excel. Whereas if you don't have that, you won't excel. And then that kind of puts paid to the whole process. So yeah, I guess that's my feedback for what it's worth. I do see that we have a raised hand and a question, Kevin. I don't know if you've noticed.
Yes, I see we have a raised hand. If you do have a specific question, do type it into the Q&A. We'd be happy to answer that as well. Just for the sake of privacy and having other people's faces pop up, we don't want to have other people just invited to come on, but do use the Q&A section. And I see this is a question for Aaron. So while Aaron's typing out the answer, I'll share it to everyone as well. So Aaron, can you please share what keywords you used on Job Bank for the tech jobs listing that you shared with us? So instead of typing it out, if you can just.
Yeah, sure. I'll type it out as well, so it's there for the record. On the Google search, I just searched technology jobs and geolocated it to Saskatoon. You could do the same thing for Regina or Calgary or Edmonton or Red Deer or Edson or wherever you want to go. For the Sask jobs thing, it's actually a little bit uglier. I will admit they really haven't broken it down by filter. It's broken down by something called a knock code, which is the way to be able to access certain kinds of jobs. And so there are two ways to get there. The first is to just do the general filter for IT technology or IT engineering, natural sciences, and something else. I can't remember, but it is a drop-down box in there. You just select for that one. Then once you get in there, every job is identified by knock code. And so then you can just copy the knock code of the jobs that look like they're pertinent and stick those in as a search field. Lo and behold, it'll filter down for those particular jobs. Do be wary. Knock codes are very slowly changed. The federal government uses them, and they got a refresh a few years ago. And I think Alyssa was saying she didn't recognize some of the jobs job descriptions because they were for jobs that didn't exist previously. That's the problem with knock codes, is those job descriptions are just, the jobs are new. They've never been around, so there isn't an appropriate knock code. They're shimmied into something else. So widen your search as much as possible. Manual filter is an effective way. Just a note on that is that I know that there are different styles of approaching kind of resume bombing and trying to access jobs, depending on your community that you've come from. Within the community of tech jobs here, just throwing resumes over the fence is very likely to result in it being ignored because of the sheer volume of resumes. We get about 400 resumes per job opening at my company right now. So my recommendation is to do that and then follow up directly. Anybody who does follow up directly to an email automatically starts kind of popping up in the attention list for us. And I know that happens for other companies too. And certainly if you know somebody at the company, that's the other way in. Almost every company has a referral bonus for their employees. So all of the employees are looking for opportunities to refer somebody qualified. And so if you know somebody at the company and you can say, look, I'm applying for this job. And you can even do that cold over LinkedIn. I've had numerous times where my entire team has been LinkedIn messaged by somebody who seems like they've got some skills, is living in the area, and they get this message saying, hey, can you tell me more about this job? It looks like it's interesting. What's it like to work there? And then over the course of that conversation, they say, well, okay, I'm going to apply. Is there a way you can refer me? And we do. Because, at that point, we've kind of made a connection, we've kind of understood the person, and it's in our best interest to try and refer people who are going to make it past the first set of filters. So that would be my strongest recommendation for kind of going through that long list is go through that list, identify the companies you want to work with, start looking at who works there, identify the public-facing people, message them, and don't give up. Unless they tell you to go away.
Absolutely. Alyssa, do you have anything else you want to add just on top of what Aaron mentioned?
Yeah, just to add to Aaron's comment there, I actually give the 3 strikes you're out rule. So try nicely 3 times with a contact, and if it doesn't go anywhere, just move on. But give it at least 3 tries. Don't do it back to back, like in one day of trying to reach out to someone. But say you send them a LinkedIn message, they don't message back, try it again after a week, and then try to maybe find an email. And then, you tried 3 times to reach out to people. Sometimes people aren't going to reach back, but don't get discouraged by that. Maybe you just have to go through someone else in the company.
Awesome. I'm seeing another question. This one looks like it's for Aaron as well, but I think Alyssa can also chime in as well if.
Okay, first of all, QA. If you see companies just looking for senior QA people, they're not companies you want to work with, in my opinion, because they're probably hiring junior QA people out of failed software developers.
Sorry, Aaron, I'm just going to read the question out for everyone.
Oh, sorry. The question is, I am looking for quality assurance job for junior intermediate level. It seems there's no demand for QA and only senior level jobs are available. Some parenthetic comments, but do you think it would be difficult to find a job? A newcomer worked on build and validation engineer in a chip design company in my country, and I have less than 1 year volunteering QA experience in software project and now trying to change the direction of software. Well, the first thing is, and I'm sorry, this is a shameless plug, but I work for an EDA company that does software support for chip design people. So actually, you want to apply for jobs that we've got open right now. So absolutely shoot me an email or a message via LinkedIn right away, and I'll put you in for a referral. We have 5 open requisitions in software development. We're always looking for QA people. So I hope I can give you a job. Now, didn't that work a while? Well, but the second thing is ignore requirements like you have to have 5 years or 10 years of experience in a job. Ignore junior, intermediate, senior locations or requirements. A quirk of the way in which we get people into Canada via immigration routes through the global talent stream is that we need to demonstrate that there is nobody in Canada who will fill that job. And so a lot of these companies are actually advertising for very senior jobs and willing to accept somebody more junior to them if they can get them. But they're listed as very senior because if they find somebody highly qualified in another country who they would like to bring in, they can use that job description as a demonstration that there was nobody with those qualifications in Canada, and they can bring them through the global talent stream. Like it's got the 2-week turnaround for work permits, which is actually more like 2.5 months right now. So it's an artifact of the way they're constructing the job descriptions to manage the immigration system, not a hard requirement for the job. And so I would encourage you always to apply for jobs that look more senior than your experience, especially if you have any experience at all, because it's totally worth it.
Awesome. We are past the hour, so I do want to start to wrap things up. I see another question. What would the job market be like for project managers, IT managers? I think so. What we can do, I'm going to give out the contact information for Alyssa and Aaron. If you have specific questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm sure we'll be happy to help. Of course, career loans on our team, we'd be happy to help as well. One quick question, one for Venus. So someone asked, I'm outside of Canada. May I apply for the career loans program? Venus, if you could just give a quick answer to that.
Sure. If you're outside Canada, please get in touch with me as soon as you arrive, because we have the residency requirements for the loan. So we need to, basically you need to be physically in Canada, especially in the 2 provinces, to be able to access the loan. So connect with me once you're here. I'll be more than happy to help you out.
Awesome. And again, if there's any other questions, do reach out to our guest speakers directly, and I will share the contact information just now. I'm going to ask all of you just to stay on the screen while I share my PowerPoint once again. Share this. This is everyone's contact information, including the career loans program. I will send this out in an email, so don't worry about rushing and jotting down. I'll send this all out in a follow-up email, so don't worry. I do also want to highlight our survey once again. So please do take the survey. It's also included in the email, so that will very much help with our future program planning. And we do have an upcoming webinar on December 8th, how to achieve career success as a newcomer in Canada. We've got a great guest speaker. It's on December 8th at the same time as today's webinar. We hope to see you there as well. Once again, here's everyone's contact information, but I will be sending it out again. Let me just take a look. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I want to thank our guest speakers as well, Aaron, Alyssa, and Venus. Thank you, everyone who's watching. I hope it was very helpful. I know I learned a lot, and I think this will be very useful information for newcomers who are looking for jobs in the tech field. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks for having us.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye.